Mike. Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love. I'm in Toronto.
Welcome to episode 1276 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Season 4 of Yes, We Are Open, the award-winning podcast from Moneris, hosted by FOTM El Grego. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. The Moment Lab, brand marketing and strategy, PR, advertising and production. You need The Moment Lab. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making his Toronto Mic debut, is Richard Underhill. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Toronto Mic. This is fun.
It's
this
happening, man.
It is happening through a Twitter hookup.
Well, I actually took that note, so I guess we can thank T. Griff for this. I did when T. Griff said, "Hey, Mike, have you ever had Richard Underhill on?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, you should." And then you and I chatted, and you agreed to come on. And then T. Griff wrote, "I hope this comes together. I want to hear Rich's tales of the band," that's the Shuffle Demons, by the way, "and all who have been a demon, his solo and other jazz excursions, his reflections on the Toronto jazz scene, on the city of Toronto in general, and on the Kensington market specifically. Make it so soon." So T. Griff, this is for you.
Man, okay, we got a lot
of instructions. Hey, let's crack open a cold can of fresh GLB. So what do you got there, a lager?
I do have a lager, yeah.
Thank you, Great Lakes. Richard's going to crack it right on the mic, right in front of me.
A premium lager. Let's do this. See how my mic cracking skills are. Here we go.
Okay, now let me show you how a professional does it.
Yeah, let me see, because my hand was kind of blocking it.
Ready?
Oh, listen, that is
difference?
like beer ad quality.
I was at, it is beer. I was at, where was I? Taste of Little Italy on College yesterday.
Ah, yes, indeed.
And Great Lakes they had a booth there, but delicious fresh craft beer there. But then I saw that Palma Pasta had a booth. I had a meatball sub there. It was delicious. Do you enjoy Italian food, Richard?
Well, it turns out that Underhill doesn't sound like an Italian name, but my mom's side is from Sicily. So yes, indeed, I do love Italian cooking. I've been to Sicily 3 times and Italy a bunch of times.
Can you be made, or no, you have to be pure Sicilian to get made, right?
I think so, yeah. I know when The Sopranos came out, I was kind of joking about it with my uncles, and they weren't happy. Like they didn't like it because, they weren't that type. But there was an issue, actually. Like my grandfather's family, their land was being kind of stolen by my grandmother's family.
Wow.
And so yeah, and there was some issue anyway.
Like Hatfields and McCoys or whatever. Here.
Something going on, yeah. And so he left in 1913 with a handful of Romano beans. And came to Montreal, and in the family we still grow the beans from those beans. Like we still propagate the Rose Romanos. Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
I know, it's so cool, isn't it?
I could shut this down right now, and I would love the episode. Okay, but Palma Pasta does have a large lasagna for you. It's frozen in my freezer right now. That's for you, Richard.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Excellent. Can't
Rush
wait to
order.
try it.
I mean, when I told Anthony Petrucci from Palma Pasta that the guy from the Shuffle Demons was coming over, he said, "Which guy?" And he had a long list there. And
Really?
Richard Underhill. And then he's like, "I'm sending over some lasagna for this gentleman."
Great.
So,
fantastic.
well, fantastic to have you here. So, I mean, there's so much I want to cover with you, but like when I think about Richard Underhill, I think of the Shuffle Demons and I think of Spadina Bus. So let's go back. Maybe give me a little Shuffle Demons origin story. Like,
Sure.
Who were you pre demon, and what the hell, for the younger folk listening, what the hell is a shuffle demon? Let's educate the people. This is a Toronto podcast. Let's do it.
Yeah, so I was a guy from Salmon Arm, BC, who wanted to come to the big city and make his fame and fortune. So I went, fame anyway. I don't know, something. So I signed up to York University, which I thought, not having the internet in '82, I sort of thought, oh, that'll be downtown. It'll be great. I'll be downtown Toronto. Yeah, oops, I was wrong. So, but I didn't stay on.
It's still a pain in the ass to get there. Well, it depends where you live.
Well, wait,
obviously.
there's a subway all the way there.
Yeah, I know, but it's my son goes to York, and it's a long trip for him on the subway.
Yeah.
But,
well, so I didn't get into residence, which I think is better, so that I eventually ran into this guy on the bus up there who had like a fancy sax case, and I was kind of jealous of him. I didn't like that guy. He was too fancy. But anyway, we ended up sharing a locker. That was Mike Murley, one of the preeminent jazz sax players in Canada.
wow.
Yeah, and so he had an opening in his house. So in November, I moved in. Now, the opening in his house was a little back porch on the back of a house on Roxton Road, and to keep the beer cold for the welcome to me, so long to the last roommate party, they had it in my room. So that's the kind of room it was. But anyway, it was an amazing house. There was Brigham Phillips, amazing trumpet player who's done so many things, Charlie Cooley, incredible drummer, and Mike Murley, all living in that house. So it was the Roxton Road, the home of jazz.
Wow.
Yeah. So we used to do our thing, and I was this sort of wild free jazz guy, and I would go out and busk on the street every weekend to try and make rent, and Mike Murley would go and do these kind of weddings that he didn't really like, and he had to play music he didn't, because he was a bit of he liked jazz, and he didn't want to play all these kind of pop hits or whatever, and we'd come home, and he'd have his $100 from the wedding, and I'd have a sack of change that equaled $100.
Wow.
And he'd go, wow, man, I should try that. So we went out one day, we tried it, we made some money, and he had fun, and then the next time we went out, he was kind of the linchpin here. He invited Stitch Winston, our amazing drummer, and Dave Parker, who was his best friend from Nova Scotia, who was trying to make it as a jazz person here, but not going to school. And that first day, we just gelled, and everything happened. And then, things happened. People asked us what our name was, and I'd just written this kind of crazy tune from my York University big band assignment called The Shuffle Monster. So we became the Shuffle Demons. And the rest, it just went from there.
Where were your favorite busking spots, like specifically?
Yeah, well, we kind of did our first thing at Yonge and Bloor and then the Eaton Centre. Those were kind of our two big spots. I remember, like in about '85, in front of the Eaton Centre, in the first day of spring, and it just the most incredible scenes, like people taking their clothes off, and just people doing crazy stuff. So it was really fun.
Well, that would be your high traffic spot there at Yonge and Dundas.
Yeah,
there.
Absolutely.
Okay. So there's so many ways to approach this episode. So firstly, I order you to drop as many names as you can along the way. Like we're literally like recording this audio history of the city of Toronto. How's the beer, by the way?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, absolutely good. Wonderful.
I cracked open an IPA. I actually periodically I run out of beer, believe it or not, and I'm gonna have to get myself to Great Lakes Brewery today to fill up on beer. And delicious beer, by the way, available across the province in LCBOs and elsewhere. Delicious fresh craft beer, and they've been great partners of the program. Okay, so what if I just go for it, man? Let me kick out this jam, because I think this is when you say Shuffle Demons.
Yeah.
Especially if you're Gen X like me, this is the song that bounces around your head. So let's play a bit of it, then I'll bring it down. And then I just want, tell me everything. Richard, bury me in the information.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Here we go.
The onslaught is about to happen.
the Wellesley bus, and you can't go far on the College Street guy. You know the Young Street train is a real pain, and the LRT, well that's not for me. Well you can't have fun on the York you run, and the Oxford trolley is just a big folly. Well I don't give a damn about the Bathurst strap, but I'll make a fuss about Spadina Bus, 'cause I'm 77B on the TTC. Yeah, 77B on the TTC. Well, 77A, I guess it'll be okay. But I want 77B on the TTC.
Hey, check it out. I went down to the station. I didn't scream or fuss. I did have lots of patience waiting for that bus. Dug deep down in my pockets to try and find some coin. But much to my chagrin, all I found was my groin. Hey!
You know, I was gonna play like 45 seconds, but actually, like I was like, no, let it roll because it's a quintessential Toronto song. Are you aware of that, Richard?
Yeah, you know what? I am like that, and new generations keep getting introduced to it and are incredulous at it, that it was kind of the quasi-hit that it was. But you just ended just after the problematic lyric. You see, we were...
The groin?
Yeah, the groin. When we were... Well, there's so many places to start. First of all, let me confess on air that...
Take your time, by the way. I got all day. Go.
Yeah,
take
I
your
know,
time.
but
It's important.
I didn't actually write Spadina Bus. I wrote parts of it, and I have this kind of rap in the middle that talks about the Bathurst tram. You know, the dissing of the other potential TTC routes, as that was my sort of contribution.
Because the LRT is not for you.
The LRT, yeah, and then in the end, when I ran for mayoral, of course, Transit City and the LRT, well, I did prefer that. But, you know, anyway, so people change. but Dave Parker, who really is the guy who came up with the song, he was living on Spadina. There was always a bus there. We used to go down and play the Horseshoe Tavern in afternoons, and he was always waiting for that Spadina bus. So he's the brilliant guy who came up with it, in a way saying that, you know, there's, you know, Rocket 88. People always write songs about transportation. Well, he's going to, you know, instead of a hot car, he'll write one about a bus. And and also putting the name of the town, you know, talking about a town is also a real kind of way to get people to like your song.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's like I said, quintessential Toronto song because it's unabashedly Toronto. Like I don't know how. I only know how it plays for me, a guy who was born and raised in the city of Toronto. But you know, I don't know how it would play in like Frankfurt when they hear about this Spadina Bus. Who knows? But who cares? It's ours. I love it.
Yeah, they're confused, but you know, in Italy they call it Spadina, and you know, it's catchy, it's fun, they love it. But back to that problematic lyric. So.
Yeah.
We were doing the Eaton Center, and City TV came out and shot one of the City TV Everywheres with beautiful Mark saying, you know, talking about it.
The following program contains adult themes, nudity, and coarse language.
God.
Viewer and parental discretion is advised.
There he is, the voice. But they heard it wrong, so they called us the Shuffle Devils. Anyway, that was the first thing. But so I went in, I was like, hey, that's great. We got this promo thing. I'd love to get that tape so I could send it to people and go, hey, we're kind of famous, let's book us or whatever.
Yeah.
What everyone did back then. So I went in and I met this guy at the promotions department called John Gunn. And John was like, oh man, we love you guys. You know, you're so fun, so fun. Hey, and you know, we're kind of feel like we're a band in the promotions department. They were this little kind of funky organization, and they were like, well, you guys want to do something? Well, we'd love to make a video. So they helped us make the first video. So it was kind of an in, right? Because they, you know, Much Music was down the hall and all that stuff. But they wanted to do a project, and we, you know, were there. So they helped us make the video. But one of the things was, before we were submitting to actually rent a TTC bus, we edited out the word groin. You know, we edited out Stitch's lyrics there. Or John thought that was a better idea to give us more chance. Didn't matter. The TTC didn't want to give us a bus, even rent it to us, because we implied that people were waiting. You know, I didn't have much patience waiting for that bus. There were certain things in there.
I see. They're overthinking it as usual.
Yeah,
but
there were some implications. So anyway, worked out.
But I mean, the whole nature of a bus is whether you wait 2 minutes or 20 minutes, you got to wait for the bus.
At some point,
Unless
you
you're
gotta wait a little bit.
You're that lucky guy who runs and catches it. You know, you get a good driver there. But
But anyway, in the end, it worked out better because the bus drivers kind of saw that we were doing it, and they were totally into it, and and we just did it guerrilla style, and we never got on the bus, which was actually kind of more fun in a way. All we were talking about was, well, waiting for it was going to come. So, Yeah, that was true. But those guys were great, and they really kind of launched our career there, and really helped us out. So we're forever grateful to John Grunt and the promotions department at City TV everywhere.
Yeah, that era of the Moses Empire, the Chum Empire, there with Much Music and City TV. Like, I've got such nostalgia for that era because it just seemed to be cool. It just felt like there was no budget, but with creativity and just cool cats given a little power, given the opportunity to do something, you get some real cool stuff coming out of 299 Queen Street there.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it was great, and they he was pushing the envelope in the right way and opening up a lot of doors for people. And
so what the hell happened, Richard? Because I know what's going on there now, and
I don't really know what's going on there. No, well, you get tired, you move on, things change, whatever. You sold it, so what are you gonna do? But
it's funny because you mentioned they called you the Shuffle Devils at first, and then I remember even like if you were watching, Speaker's Corner,
right?
Okay. They had those two guys, the Devil's Advocates.
Yeah. The Devil's Advocates.
These are all like, looking back, it's like, oh yeah, that was a thing. Like,
that was a cool thing. Like they just became a thing. Like, I don't know. I guess they would do that on Instagram now or whatever, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Except the difference is I won't see it on Instagram where I was tuning into.
Right, I know. We would
on
tune
weekends,
into. Yeah, we would. It was sort of a. There was more. Well, I guess it's similar with Instagram or whatever. There was kind of a collective consciousness about what you watched that weekend or whatever. It was a little bit more time specific, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to
well, it's
to
just such a smaller media landscape. I mean, you can't compare now. Pre-internet, it was like, what else were you gonna watch? So Commander Tom just died.
Oh yeah, I know.
And I was sitting with Ed Conroy, better known as Retro Ontario, and PJ Fresh Phil. So we were, these are guys, especially Ed, who would appreciate Spadina Bus. Okay.
Oh, Ed has been very supportive. Yes, with his account.
You're our kind of people here. So okay. But we were talking about Commander Tom and how on a Sunday morning, people our age, and if you're a little older, you have a different experience of Commander Tom, but our age, there was no cartoons on Sunday morning. There was no station to go to. It was Commander Tom or GTFO. Like, this was your option unless you want to watch like religious programming or like news programming. You watched Commander Tom, and if that meant Tom and Davy, that's what you watched, right? Like, come on, Davy, and that's what we watched. But that's what we had, and it was such a different universe. So we all watched Commander Tom.
See, in Salmon Arm, BC, we watched Atlanta Professional Wrestling. That's what we got.
That sounds better than Commander Tom. What's going on? I have an Andre the Giant mug over here because I did love Mike when WWF in the mid 80s was a big deal to me.
Well, see, this was was it 70s? I guess there was this guy called Gordon Soley from Atlanta Professional Wrestling, and he was like, the sheepherders have been working out assiduously together this week, and I was like, what does assiduous? Like, we actually learned from this guy.
Yeah, that's a big word.
He was hilarious. He was really good. But that's what we watched in small town BC.
Well, I need to know these things. I might have another small town BC person on the program, and I can blow their mind with these references.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Keep dropping these names. Okay, so Spadina Bus gets played on Much Music.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? You guys are like buskers, and that's some funky ass shite right there.
Yeah.
And you're on the nation's music station.
Exactly. So we had done a record, and we'd actually found this really cool agency called Trick or Treat, and they'd booked us a little tour across Canada. So we went and played Expo 86 with our brand new record, and we did this tour back across Canada. And, the first few dates weren't very much. We played a place in Winnipeg called Knockers, which was a strip club during the day. So I went for sound check, and there was this poor woman up there, and it had, tinsel on the stage, like, the classic old time thing.
Right.
And then it was a jazz club at night. So that was funny. But then it once by the time we hit Thunder Bay, it had been played, and boom, we were kind of happening. Like, people were kind of noticing us. And so that, with the help of Trick or Treat, we started playing colleges and universities. We started playing jazz festivals. We really it really had quite a bumper few years there.
Well, what box would you put Shuffle Demons in? Because of course there's that jazzy element, but it's more than that, right? There's a bit of almost I won't call it ska, but there seems to be something like how would you describe
Well, that's the thing.
Shuffle Demons?
that's the eternal question for the band.
Right.
We don't know. I mean, but you're right. It has that sort of ska energy. It's got that.
It's because there's a bunch of you and there's
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
it
and
just
then
feels
we're
like
doing-
it should have
doing antics
Right.
and moving around. So it's got that scar feel. We used to call it bop rap, which was sort of the way.
Yeah,
I think,
sure. There's rap in there too, of
yeah,
course.
I think
Right.
Derek Andrews came up with that one. He was a
Bop rap.
wonderful, agent and person of culture who booked tons and tons of things, helped us out as well. So that's how we called it. But yeah, that's the one thing why we really never got a major record deal or whatever. Like we could have probably because we were almost popular enough, but they just didn't get it. They didn't know what to do with it. And what can you do?
They like you to fit into these boxes.
Yeah,
right?
especially back then. I think now it's aren't many boxes, but
Well, they probably said, "Can you be more Huey Lewis in the news?"
right, yeah. Get some guitar. I remember there was a guy in Italy who was gonna make us famous, and he was like, "But we need to add the computore musicale to it." So we were like, "Yeah, no, we were quite the purists."
Well, my
at the
last
time.
guest on this very program dropped by Friday to kick out the jams was Blair Packham from the Jitters, and I've long
Blair.
kidded with Blair about the fact that the Jitters were trying to be Huey Lewis in the news, but I actually dig it a little deeper and turn that knife because I say that the Jitters were trying to be the what's the West Coast band? Too bad that you're not as smart as you thought you were. And what's that? You're killing me. That's okay.
Okay, you figure
but
this out.
Too bad. Doug and the Slugs.
Oh,
Okay, where's
Doug and
Doug
the
Bennett and the Slugs? I
Slugs.
know these names, but of
Yeah.
course, I every day I think of Doug and the Slugs. Where's that name when you need it, right? But Doug and the Slugs is sort of like that's an answer to Huey Lewis and the News, and then the Jitters are an answer to Doug and the Slugs. But so it could be worse for you, is what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay, yeah, good, yeah. No, it hasn't
Could
been
be
bad
worse.
at
How
all.
well do you know Blair?
Oh, we've just been on the scene together for whatever, like
Right.
it's kind of, we ships passing in the night really, but I kind of know him. I put it that way. Hopefully he doesn't say, oh man, he's my best friend. What do you mean?
he's going to be hurt. He's like, we were best friends, Richard. What the heck happened?
Well, I'm sorry.
So as we learn the story of the Shuffle Demons, and then I know, what was the initial, was it T. Griff here? I'm going back to that initial question. Because he does, and I'm hoping you will, like when you start in the mid-'80s there with the Shuffle Demons, what is Toronto's jazz scene like? Like, take us back to the mid-'80s.
Right. It was a lot of Georgia Spaghetti House and those kind of places that was a pretty, incredibly high quality of music played by really incredible virtuosic players, but it would from other than people like Claude Ranger and people like that, there didn't seem to be a lot of envelope pushing going on. There was a great group called Time Warp, which is still around. Al Henderson and Barry Elms were the main protagonists of that band, and they were our profs at York, or at least Al was. And Al sort of took a chance on me because I was this wild man, and they were like, I don't think he fits in. And they were like, no, I'll take him to my shop, and we'll learn Mingus and stuff like that, and he'll be fine. He'll actually fit in well. He'll be good for it. So big thanks to Al Henderson. But they had a band called Time Warp, and they were pushing the envelope, and a few other bands. But that's the thing we kind of, I kind of grown up as looking at jazz from afar, looking at John Coltrane and all those artists, and looking at jazz as sort of was at the time an expression of civil rights. It was an expression. It was just this, and especially as a teenager, it was a wild expression and an expression of growing, emerging, who you are, and the expression part was way more important than the economic part and the sort of even fitting in with the real sort of traditional confines of what the music was, the really refined kind of Bill Evans, Paul Desmond, whatever sort of way that music was played. So we were kind of a bit of a revolt against that. And then we were adding these popular elements in because rap was in the air and we were on the street and we were trying to communicate and we were adding TV themes and just stuff that we knew. So we were kind of l'enfant terrible of the jazz world at the time because the purists didn't really like us and the people who were kind of didn't know what jazz was actually did kind of like us. And in the end, the purists were like, well, they're bringing people to the festival. Maybe they're okay.
Right. And I'm trying to think around that 86 and some years beyond, but I'm trying to think. So James B., was he in the Look People at this time?
Yeah, absolutely. The B people, the Look people.
Right.
Yeah, we were very sort of parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think James B is famous?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. It's a recurring question on the program: is James B famous? Like, it's more of a philosophical question than anything, because of course James B is famous. It's funny. Blair just came back. It's all about Blair Packham today, folks. But Blair came back from Newfoundland, and he told me he bumped into James B in the airport. And then Blair, who claims to be a big fan of this program, like claims to listen to many Toronto Mike episodes,
Blair.
he sends me a text and he says, have you ever had James B on the program? I actually almost like just deleted him from the server. I'm like, this is
five times
just
or something.
Because, well, he's been on multiple times, but he's he's an FOTM, which means friend of Toronto Mike. Richard, you're now an FOTM friend of
Thank
Toronto
you.
Mike.
Well, I'm glad to be.
But like James B, of course he's been on. We've had many conversations, and the fact Blair wasn't sure hurt my feelings. So if his feelings are hurt by what you said about him, my feelings are hurt by what Blair said about. But look, people.
Maybe some humor will help if with these hurt feelings. I just want to say that we ended up doing a double bill with the Look People and the Shuffle Demons in the 80s, 90s, maybe 90s in Calgary. Mm-hmm. And James was like, "Oh, can we come on for Spadina Bus?" Sure, like we always invite people up for Spadina Bus. It's the big thing. So we go for Spadina Bus, and James B's drummer, who I love to bits and play with all the time, is great Bob Scott. Mm-hmm. He's the absolute wild man, but fantastic drummer. Like, just really, really great drummer. Sometimes, especially back in the day, it got a little bit hidden by the antics. So Bob comes up to do the Spadina Bus thing. Oh, there they are, in a diaper, and or something like that, like a big diaper thing. And then when we start doing our antics and walking around, he starts stage diving, and the diaper falls off. So he's basically stage diving naked into the crowd. And so people afterwards like, "Man, you guys are not sure about that guy in the diaper, though."
Okay, so that Look People, Kevin Hearn was in the Look People.
Absolutely, yes.
Today, Kevin Hearn is in a little band called Bare Naked Ladies. Like, when do they show up in this scene, right? Because they're mid to late 80s. They show up in this very same Buskerville, funky, what are we scene?
I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but we were kind of the first, of the first people to do the busking thing, and then to make a record, and then to do an indie record. So we weren't signed, and we would, I was taking them into A&A and Sam's, and Gary Day at A&A was the buyer, and I would take the records in and all that stuff. So we were kind of on the forefront of that. Now they came along, and then they did it right. I mean, they did their own distribution, and they really figured out how to do it. So they kind of took it to the next level.
Steven's dad helped. Like, Steven's dad started some kind of a distribution outlet.
Yeah. So they had people who actually knew what they were doing, rather than me, who was like, people used to say I used to run the band out of my back pocket, and it's true. I had like a handful of receipts and whatever, and I'd try and figure it out. And we were gonna sort of maybe sign it over to somebody at some point, and I just couldn't figure out like what the balance, like, was I owed money? I don't know. I didn't know.
Well, that's not the fun part of the art, but
no.
But okay, so when Bare Naked Ladies, when the yellow tape arrives, this like famously was the best-selling independent release or something, and I don't know, Canadian music history? I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
I feel like Lowest of the Low, Shakespeare My Butt. I can't remember the order, though. Like, because Shakespeare My Butt, I felt maybe that was the record that the Bare Naked Ladies broke, maybe.
Okay.
But we're in the same time, because I know Shakespeare My Butt. I close every episode of Toronto Mike with a song from Shakespeare My Butt, so I should actually know this. I do know that album comes out in 1991. And in my mind, this is before that, maybe.
Absolutely, I think. I mean, so we were 86 when Spadina Bus came out. And so, 86, 87, like, we might have had that record for a while.
You might have had that record.
I mean, I just kept inflating the number in my, like, we've sold 1,000, we sold 2,000. Eventually I said we sold 15,000 of that. Like, whether, I don't know if that's true.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Richard.
I kept inflating it, but a lot of product went through. Can we go back to Spadina Bus?
Of course. I
just want to keep fleshing out Spadina Bus. The best part about Spadina Bus is the walk around. So, despite Great Bob stage diving naked, what we usually do, is go through the crowd, and often take the crowd outside, or go through the university. Or at one point we went outside in Kingston and hailed a cab and got in it and left. And the audience was just like, what? And then we just went around the block, which was fun. But the best one was at the Town Pump in Vancouver. And, we'd really done well that night, and it was about 2:10, and I was like, we've got one more tune, and the owner was like, what do you mean? It's like, after last call, everyone's got to get out. What are you doing? I said, look, we'll take them all out, and I'll tell them to take all their stuff, and we'll just clear your bar in 5 minutes, which is better than you having to try and get them out. So
Right.
I said, look, everyone, we're playing Spadina Bus. We're going to do the walk round, and then we're all going to leave, and you can't get back in. So take all your stuff. So we did it. We played Spadina Bus. We went out. We were on the street, 300 people following us. This crazy conga line. Absolutely insane. We go through the Lamplighter, which is a very notorious bar in Gastown, and guys were falling off their chairs. Like, it was they were well into it, and they couldn't believe it. We went through an Italian restaurant that was open at that time too, and that was great. And then we started to go around back of the club, and there was a bouncer with a door open, and so I stopped playing and went, run. And so we all ran in through the back door, and then he closed it, and the fans like pounded on the door. It was such a Beatles moment. It was
That's
really
amazing.
I'll never forget that.
Oh yeah, if any of those stories pop in your head, just say,
Yeah.
Mike, we're going back.
Well,
Okay.
I had to, sort
You
of
had to.
flesh that out. The other thing I want to say is that, with regards to it, we sort of jumped to our album, but in '85, we did a busking tour of Europe, and that was another thing that really sort of defined us, and it really helped our profile in a way, because people love it when you go away and you're successful elsewhere. So halfway through, I found a typewriter somewhere in Italy and wrote things, like a kind of sarcastic press release, like Shuffle Demons, tried to play on the streets of Venice, but of course there's no street, but they fell in the canal or whatever.
I've been to Venice.
Yeah. Did you play in Venice?
No,
Oh,
I don't. Maybe I played my Sony Walkman. Who knows? But
And Shuffle Demons, got stuck in behind the Berlin Wall, which is actually true. There's a song Mike Merle wrote called East Berlin Angst, where we went over.
I'm gonna play it.
Okay,
Oh, do you want
play
it
it.
now?
Oh yeah, if you want to.
I don't. The only rule is there are no rules. So let's
I think we've heard. Yeah, let's get it on. Sounds a little funky there. I don't know. It got pixelated.
We want to tell you a story about East Berlin and a mess that the demons found themselves in. People had warned us about going there. They said,
Don't play in the street or they'll throw you in jail.
You get a one-day visa that expires at 12. So don't be late, demons, and take care of yourselves.
Sounds so young.
And so we headed to the east despite people's fears. Our first stop, of course, was to have a few beers. But once that German brew took its effect, Demon Dave thought sleep was our best prospect.
we found a little park where Dave could snooze to settle himself from all that booze. But his nap didn't really last too long. Some kids saw our horns, they wanted a song.
Men and kinder were really being quite the pest. So we pulled out our horns, played a couple requests. Well, in 10 seconds flat, the whole park came alive. People dancing and shaking out the communist jive.
I love songs that tell a story. Okay, this is the Shuffle Demons in East Berlin.
That's fine. I just had a left jab dancing and shaking off that communist jive. That was funny. So yeah, we didn't. The park didn't really come alive, but some people, the kids liked it. And well, okay.
Something that Toronto has.
Oh, classic Toronto diss.
We don't have a good jazz club here, so there. Okay, well, we have it sort of.
Finally.
Played a set and the crowd freaked out. There were plenty of people and beers about. Everybody loved it. It was really great. But one look at the clock, we saw we were late.
If it weren't a check with Charlie by 12 o'clock, our heads could be on the chopping block. So we ran towards the subway in quite a fright, cause we might have spent a year if we had stayed the night.
There it is.
Love it.
A
Okay,
true story.
East Berlin Angst. Okay, love it. Yeah, hit with the stories here. Great. In fact, I might go out of order. So, what year is this from?
This is this would be, I think, 87 or yeah. This is funny too.
Oh, well, they really didn't seem very happy to me, and they were staring awfully funny at Rich's goatee.
Man, we looked at each other, we thought we were doomed. When they took Rich away to another room, we said enough of this jive.
What's going down?
Oh, we want to get back to the west end of town.
Were you shitting bricks when you're?
Kind of. Yeah. A little shout out to Canada. It was funny. But yeah, we didn't know what was going to happen, like whether they were going to make us clean the whole place with toothbrushes.
He locked the door. I didn't think I'd see the light of day no more. His search was thorough. We found a few beers, my plastic fish pen, and my phony ears.
Yeah, the boss old threatened to fine us a lot, but it only turned out to be a minor rot. You know, we weren't enthused with that Siberian jazz, so we didn't give those power trippers any res.
Hey, all they were doing was putting on a show. And once they saw us sweating, they let us all go.
Freedom!
We risked it, but we survived. And that's what it takes to keep the music alive.
So if you ever travel to East Berlin, don't get yourself into the mess we were in. Be back before 12, don't push your luck, cause it's not the kind of place where you want to be stuck.
So funny.
Love it. Love it.
It's like the PG-13 Beastie Boys.
Yeah, there's a yes, because I'm a big Beastie Boys fan, and I can hear it there.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We didn't really know who they were in the beginning, but then, yeah, it's people like, you guys are like the Beastie. Yeah, kind of. It seems like it, the Beastie Boys with horns. But yeah, that was quite a day. That was great. We had to change 20 Deutschmarks into 20 Ostmarks. And then to try and spend that 20 Ostmarks was almost impossible because, like, lunch was 30 cents, beers were 10 cents. We mentioned beer 3 times. So, yeah, so we had fun. Those guys are from Nova Scotia, and I did my best to keep them. I actually have roots in New Brunswick. So, beer is a part of the tradition, and we did our best to keep up. But, yeah, we had fun. We met a guy who was a photographer, at least on the side. And he actually only had 1 roll of film a month. So he took us and showed us his photos were very thought out. It was,
sure.
When art is constricted in that way, some really cool things happen. And he took us to a bar. It was someone's birthday. We played. We had a great time. And then we realized we were late. So we jumped on the subway, got close to Checkpoint Charlie. We're running. And our German friends were behind us, and we still had 15 Ostmarks. So we were like, we held them up in the air, guys, and we just left them on a rock and kept running. So that they probably had a good month because of that. Right. Yeah. So that was super fun.
Great story. Now, I'm going to play another Shuffle Demons jam and then ask you about this.
Oh, boy. Ah, yes.
Well, they had me a roach living in my wall, and living with him wasn't no fun at all. Well, I told him to go, yeah, I showed him the way. And when I talked to him, this is what I'd say: out of my house, roach. Say, get out of my house, roach. Oh, out of my house, roach. I said, out of my house, roach. Don't wanna see you here no more, crawling up my walls or across my floor.
All right, so I want to hear the story of the song, but more importantly, the video, I think, if I have the right video, because this is a Joel Goldberg directed video.
Exactly. Right? I was going to say Joel Goldberg. So Joel was kind of a affiliate with the people who worked at City TV.
Well, he helped found Electric Circus.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, he was a big part of the City TV family. And so when we were making Spadina Bus, he actually shot video behind the scenes of the making of Spadina Bus. So, which would be great. It's not, nowadays you could shoot it on your phone and it would look great. It didn't, it looks a little grainy.
Right.
But so we met Joel during that time. And then so when we were making a second one, Joel said, "Hey, I'd like to be part of that," and he did a fantastic video. Kurt Swinghammer, worked
FOTM Kurt Swinghammer.
Oh, absolutely, and he worked, hundreds of hours for a very low amount because we didn't get tons of money for those grants, but he transformed the Great Hall upstairs into this demon roach house. He worked so hard on that. He was really integral to our style. And we can't thank Kurt enough for his contribution.
We did talk about this for what it's worth. We absolutely talked about his contributions to the Shuffle Demons when he visited. And that was not, he biked over too. You biked here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Kurt's the last guy who biked here, but I always encourage guests to bike here. We're right on the waterfront trail.
Oh, that was a beautiful day. I just can't imagine if I would have driven. I would have been so stressed.
You're preaching to the choir. Like
I know.
I'm going to a wedding it's in the far, I'll call it the far south east corner of this city.
Okay.
And I'm in the far southwest corner of the city, essentially. And it's like I mapped it out. It's like a 2-hour ride each way or whatever.
Okay.
This wedding, but I can't imagine driving to the wedding. Like that's where I'm at now. It's like no, this part of the joy and experience of this whole event is that I'm going to get to cycle there on the waterfront trail and cycle back. So.
Yeah, I know. It's fun. It's you smell the flower. Whatever you smell things. And you just don't have that rage and agony, and I sympathize with because every once in a while I have to rent a car and do a gig or whatever, and trying to get back or whatever. It's really not much fun.
Well, sometimes you have to drive. I was in Ajax on Saturday with the family at this, my wife's family at this event, and I we're sitting on the 401, like we're literally sitting there for like an hour or whatever. And I'm like, I really, really hate this. Like I've just grown to detest the fact that I'm sitting in this chunk of metal on the 401. In congestion, in volume, where I could be like, it would take forever, but I could be free as a bird.
Yeah, I know. You could be riding along and having a lovely time. Yeah, well.
So do you bike a lot? Yeah. And then we'll get back to Joel. Don't worry. I want to get back to Joel.
We'll get back.
But you cycle quite a bit?
I don't have a car. I cycle everywhere. Absolutely. Yeah, and love it. And some of the trails are great. I've been doing this thing which is really nice called Concerts in Care. So they provide music for people in LTC homes. So I've done some,
nice.
I've cycled up to right near Humber College North to do a home up there and homes in Scarborough. I've cycled around and it's
I've
fun.
done that ride because I spoke to a Humber College class about podcasting.
Oh, cool.
And I biked up there, sure.
Right.
Near the racetrack.
Yeah, right.
Shout out to Peter Gross.
Peter Gross?
He hosts the definitive Ontario horse racing podcast. It's called Down the Stretch.
Oh, interesting.
Speaking of 299 Queen.
Yeah.
Any Peter Gross stories?
Yeah. There
I
you
just
go.
now
I did
noticed
not
your
know
shirt's
that.
got bikes on it.
Well, I kind of...
I love it.
And I didn't know that you were a cyclist. I just thought I'm
you're an advocate. And
I saw the Anthony Fury sign on your lawn. I was a little worried.
I hosted an event. I didn't host the event. I was recording at this event at Great Lakes Brew Pub, which is Jarvis and Queens Quay. And it was for AM 640 and all these people who came on the microphone. And Fury was at that event. Like he could have jumped. He didn't choose to jump on the mic, but I would have let him on the mic and talk to him.
Yeah.
But I've got, grave I was at an event. You mentioned East Berlin. Okay. I was at an event on Saturday that was hosted by the German consulate.
Oh, the cycling Toronto thing.
And we all met at Sugar Beach. And they gave out these German flags. Okay. And I affixed one to my bike. And then we were making our way to this beautiful, Lutheran evangelical church where Dimflemeyer Bakery was going to feed us, and it was all paid for by the German consulate, and it was wonderful. Shout out to Lanrick Bennett Jr., who was an FOTM. He was there, and Chris Drew, and all these great FOTMs. But there's some guy at Sugar Beach was calling us Nazis. What I mean? And I was trying to think, okay, so we're at a cycling event, okay, and I'm like, I guess it's the German flags that are triggering the yelling Nazis at us. I'm like,
I guess so. Yeah, I know.
So I was thinking, if you only knew this was a cycling advocacy group that's about to go bike on the Martin Goodman Trail to Mimico.
So many anti-Nazi Germans that I know.
Well, that's just it. I used to work for a German software company, and I wouldn't even say the word on their soil.
Gosh, I know. Well, and it's interesting. We played in Germany a lot. That was so we toured over in Europe in the 90s a lot. And okay, we're breaking completely away.
It's okay. I like the tangents. I'm going to come back to Joel.
This is a great story. So we played something called Wiedervereinigung Nacht. And
Nice.
yeah, mein Deutsch ist
Nacht is night.
Yeah, yes. So it means we're all together night or something like that. Someone who knows German can actually tell me. We'll call in angrily and tell us what it actually means. But what it was in '92, the official joining together of the two Germanys. So it had sort of happened, but this was the official night. So we played a loft party in this place called Hof, which was on the East German, West German, and Czech border, one of those little points,
Right.
that
Yeah,
intersects three things. So they had a bunch of bands and a party. And so first off, it was the Czech band, and they were, and this is very early in post-communism. And so they were like these wild men who had like hockey stick guitars and like melodicas with a blowpipe, played as a piano. And they played this weird sort of, crazy Eastern European folk stuff. Wonderful. Then the East Germans came on, and they had like nude poetry and a wall, and it was very experimental. One of the things we found, when we did travel over there, was like the art, the Eastern European art was often very experimental and not particularly lyrical, but more expressive, because, if you said, down with the government, you'd be sent away. But if you just made really weird outside art and you implied it, then it was sort of able to sneak under the radar. So that was incredible. Then the Shuffle Demons played, and we did our thing. And then the very final band was a West German band, and they were a top 40 cover band. And I thought, man, this is just it's perfectly representing what's going on.
Right.
Like there's all this really cool organic stuff, and yeah, welcome to capitalism. And so we actually played in this a town called Plauen about a year or two after the reunification, and they were like, we did not expect that there would be people on the street. We did not expect we'd have to pay anything for healthcare. Like they were blindsided. The older people, especially the younger people, often just kind of went with it and like, we're rolling, we're going to do it. But
Sure.
But yeah, they were like, capitalism's going to save us. And it's like, well, eventually it's going to be better in some ways, but yeah, it's not necessarily the panacea.
Very
for everything.
interesting.
Yeah, I've just been really enjoyed being in those times in history, and able to be
that's
part
such
of it.
what a time in history that was, right?
Yeah.
When the wall came tumbling down. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been to Berlin, but it was well after the unification. So,
Yeah.
but it is still interesting to see, Checkpoint Charlie, and you see parts of the wall that they kept up and things like that, and it's just what a historical city. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, cool. And Berlin, I don't know if it still is, but for many years, and I've been to a few music conferences there, it was always a sort of a cheap oasis in the middle of Germany.
Well, that's why David Bowie was doing all his music.
Yeah, of course, right.
Well, yeah, no, a lot of artists do collect there because it's not as expensive as living in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
It still is. Yeah, it's still got this cheaper feel to it. And we've stayed at some interesting apartments where, it's like a big row house apartment with one washroom on them per floor, like at the end of the hall,
Yeah.
But, functional, cool, whatever.
Yeah. You can afford to work on your art.
Yeah.
That's something missing here in Toronto in 2023. Oh, wait, we gotta get back to Joel, and then
Okay.
But what more can you share with us? Just because he's such a beloved FOTM, and he's been on the program several times. He's kicked out the jams. He of course went on after directing Shuffle Demons. He would go on and direct for Maestro Fresh West.
Exactly. Yeah.
And those are big deals. You let your backbone slide and drop the needle. This is
amazing.
this is the big time. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Joel's fantastic. He's just such a positive guy, and he's got a great attitude and works really hard and knows how to make things happen. And so yeah, it's always been a pleasure. And he's just a great guy to hang with too. So yeah, we love our Joel.
Okay, let's hear some more. Like I got a bunch of jams here, but
Okay.
let's kick out something.
Oh.
Don't you know I'm grooving, walking down the street? So many people there, and they're afraid to speak. Take 2 weeks, stressed from working, going about the day to day. And to communicate, they don't know what to do or what to say. Urban life anonymous amid the sprawl. Seems we always try to run before we learn to crawl. Competition, indecision, full of stress. Just grab a hold of life and leave behind the rest. And have a good one.
find this song is funny because it, the choruses have a good one, but it sounds so dark, And I must point out that Dave Parker also wrote Out of My House Roach. So Dave was really the hit writer, and he had kind of a bubbly, positive attitude. When I write, it's like we're all going to, our brains are going to be controlled by AI, and watch out. That's unfortunately that's the way I seem to write. But anyway, hello.
Too funny.
I know.
Sounds great though. Like,
it sounds
what
great,
is the effect though? What is that effect where it sounds like somebody's talking on the phone or whatever?
Yeah, we'd have to ask John O'Grant, who's a fantastic producer who does all of our work in the studio. But yeah, he just EQs it a certain way and puts on a few little.
I'm just looking for all the inside secrets here, Richard.
Oh, yeah, I can phone it in or I'll email you. But yeah, something to make it a little bit unique, you know?
Yeah.
Or a little different somehow.
Very cool. Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to leave Shuffle Demons for a moment here. So, we have another minute left in this song. I'm actually going to give you a couple more gifts real quickly here.
Oh.
So.
I saw this pile of stuff. What's
okay,
going on?
So let me rip that out. Okay.
Oh.
This is a flashlight courtesy of Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of this community since 1921.
Ridley.
The great Brad Jones at Ridley Funeral Home.
Amazing. I could could this be a bike light if I just.
You know what? It comes in handy. For example, when the kids lose the remote and I need to whip out the Ridley Funeral Home flashlight and check under the couch and find it.
Well, that's really nice. Thank you, Ridley. That's
and
great.
I know you like your tunes, but you might also enjoy Season 4 of Yes, We Are Open, which is an award-winning podcast from Maneris, hosted by FOTML Grego, who's been traveling the country chatting with small business owners and collecting their stories to share with us. Season 4, Yes, We Are Open. You can listen to it on your new quality wireless speaker from Maneris.
Wow. Thank you. Maneris,
even the great Ed
good.
Keenan had that playing jams at his 50th birthday party the other day.
Toledo,
So
this is fantastic.
that's a big endorsement right there. And Rob Pruce from Spoons came over to say how darn good it sounds. I know Maneris is not in the... they don't sell speakers at Maneris, but they should.
They're out of the speaker
Rob
business
Pruce.
generally.
Yeah,
More in the terminal business. I mean, terminals.
Terminals, you know Maneris. Okay,
I do know Maneris. Yeah, well, when I was running for mayor, I flirted with the idea of Maneris for taking credit cards for donations, but then I just kind of fizzled out, so it didn't matter.
Okay, because you could have been a guest on Yes, We Are Open, the award-winning podcast.
Right, I could have.
If you were a Maneris client there.
Oh,
okay.
well, didn't work.
All right, this is not, and then we are gonna get shout out. Yeah, we're gonna get political, basically. Shout out to John Mann. So political. We're gonna get there, but first a bit of this.
There's a light.
Oh yes.
A certain kind of light that never shines on me. I want my life to be here with you. I wanna be with you. There's a way I hear everybody say, just to do everything that I can. But what good will it do if I can't have you? If I can't have you, baby, you don't know what it's like. No, you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like. No, you don't know what it's like to love somebody, to love somebody the way I love you.
Speaking of great Toronto bands, Richard, we have Blue Rodeo.
The Great Blue Rodeo.
Do you know why I've chosen to play this cover, this Bee Gees cover? Why am I playing this song in particular?
Because the Bushwhack Horns are on that, and I was one of the Bushwhack Horns. In fact, I guess you could call me the leader of the Bushwhack Horns.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple years in the early 2000s we played with Blue Rodeo, and I'd known them forever. I think the Demons did like one song at Massey Hall with them back in the 80s once. I remember going to rehearse at their funky place on Sororan, and I know we did something.
That's called the Woodshed.
Well,
no,
yeah.
no, that's the new one. You're right. That's out. Yeah, I was there. I should know. There's nowhere near Sororan.
Yeah. So,
which is the name I butcher. I bike that street a lot. And say it again, Sororan.
Sororan.
I actually like it. I almost butcher it as often as I butcher the word brewery.
Oh, that's not bad. I love the Sororan Park Farmers Market, which is every Monday. I'm a big Farmers Market fan, so 3 to 7 Sororan Park Farmers Market. Go there. It's great, organic, blah, blah, blah. It's wonderful, and they have music, and I sometimes play it. Anyways, so they called up one day and said, hey, we want to put together this horn section where we want to kind of have some fun and expand just for a couple of gigs, we thought. Ended up being a couple years, an album. Like this was sort of an introduction to the new sound.
Right here, right?
Yeah.
Great song, man. They do a great job on this, and you sound great in there too. So.
No, they're great.
What a
they're
band.
a great band. Absolutely great songwriters, great performers. Glenn Milcham and Basil, a great rhythm section. Annie Lindsay there was on violin, and she's a long time Blue Rodeo contributor, and
a blue head, as Michael Grange would call it.
Blue hair, anyway. But so we got on the Blue Rodeo train, and I assembled a horn section, and we just had a wonderful time. And one of the things we did was Sarstock. So we were in Vancouver one day, and then we were on a red eye, and then we were at Downsview Park to do Sarstock. Wow. And so that was pretty fun. What was
that like? I mean, I don't remember why I didn't go to Sarstock. Like, people just assume I was there, but I mean, I could have gone there. I thought it was too many people. Like,
yeah, kind of a crazy crush of people. We were so lucky because we got to watch it from the VIP tent on the side with free drinks and food and whatever. So that was great. But our show was funny. So, we were on about 4 o'clock or something. Everyone had 15 minutes. I mean, the bands before the end. And I get over there, okay. But for some reason, they just had an American crew. They wouldn't let our crew do anything. They wouldn't let them do front of house. They wouldn't let them do monitors. And it just weird. It's weird. Like, just have the person there to say, well, this person likes this person likes that, right? So we get on. It's the very first tune. We're horns right off the top, 10 bars. Here we go. Nothing.
Really?
Nothing in the monitors at all. And it's going out into this field, so there's no slapback. So we don't even know if our mics are on, right? So there's a really funny shot in the live feed of it, which I think they edited out for the video, for the DVD, which I have to look at again. But the camera, so it's Blue Rodeo and they got some horns and the camera's panning down. It's incredible. And the camera turns around to sort of look back from the horns back towards Jim and Greg, and I turn around and go, what the hell is going on? We don't have any goddamn monitors. What's wrong with you? Son of a...
Oh, man, that sucks.
Classic. So anyway, we just went, okay, and just figured we were fine. It sounded great. Actually, it sounded really good. So, we just went with it. Yeah, but it was a classic moment. But that's not the funniest moment of the show. So we're watching, standing on my chair for Randy Bachman, loving it, and some of the old timey stuff, and of course AC/DC was killer, and then there's a photo shoot. Because everyone ran back to it's a photo shoot, we better get back there. So get there, and we're like the first bands that come. It's like Sam Roberts and us, and some of the bands that had opened the day, and especially the Flaming Lips.
I remember the Flame. Did they know it was Rush that had like a washer
the washing
and dryer?
Machine. Flaming had some shtick. They were the
Flaming Lips,
kings of shtick. Right. But anyway, so Wayne so we're back there, and we're the horn section from Blue Rodeo. So we're not going to be in the front. We're in the back. We're cool. We're just hanging. But Wayne from Flaming Lips was determined. So he was all elbows at the front. And so then they bring in everyone but the Stones, Rush, and all those guys.
Yeah.
And Wayne is like all elbows at the front. And the woman who was running is like, Wayne, you guys go back. Wayne, stop being an asshole. Like, you can't do that. Come on, you just, and he still is in the front. Like, he still did it. But anyway, so then they brought everyone else in. Then they brought the Stones in. We all applauded. A guy got up in a chair. Boom, boom, boom. 8 photos done. Then the Stones kind of broke off and went back to the people. And of course, Keith comes right to the back. And Keith comes right to us. And he's like, he's got his pink bandana and his cigarette. He's like, he shakes a hand. You don't be doing this when you're my age. And we were like, what's that? 200? Like, how? And his hand fell off. And we had to help get it back. Frankly, the Stones were terrible, right? Like, I mean, Keith and Ronnie were so trashed because they'd been partying with all the bands all day, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, the other guys were fine, but those 2 guys were, oh man, they were kind of trash. Anyway, but it was fun meeting Keith. I mean, good on him. He was cool. He came to see the little people.
Well, in hindsight now, I should have gone to the stupid stores. I think of one of those things, what's the Yogi Bear line? Like, that place is too busy. Nobody goes there anymore. Oh. Like, I had a sense of like, oh, everyone's going to that. Like, I'm going to run the other direction. I don't know. But maybe, like, if it happened this weekend, I would probably bike over just for shits and giggles, just to experience it. So.
You know what? AC/DC was great. Like, that was the first kind of big outdoor rock show thing that I'd ever seen that really lived up to. It was a big, awesome outdoor rock show. Like, those guys made it.
Okay.
Yeah, for me. I mean, I'm not one who's seen many big outdoor
You weren't
rock
at
shows.
Woodstock.
I was not at Woodstock. The closest I came when I was a teenager was we were going to go see April Wine in Vernon.
Miles Goodwin is an FOTM.
Yeah, good. Yeah, we love them. And we're going to go see April Wine in Vernon, but the school bus broke down, and so we ended up going. So, like, I never really saw those shows as a kid because we were in Salmon Arm. Like, nobody came to
the big ones around here would be the Edge Fests at Molson Park in Barrie, which I went to several.
Yeah, played
and then
once.
Our Lady Peace did. Okay, who was the head? Do you remember at all? Like the headliner of the year you played? Do you have that memory?
No, you know what? I just played. I remember we played.
Was it small stage or the big stage that Shuffle Demons get to play?
Maybe small. We played like kind of around the same. Manteca was there and we were there, so it must have been sort of some novelty stage. I don't know, like a jazz stage, but maybe it was I don't remember.
But that's cool. That's cool. And the other one, Our Lady Peace started one, and I was there to see the Smashing Pumpkins farewell tour, and they sucked. And then they ended up, of course, there was no farewell tour because
just kept going.
Corgan just, he just changed the parts and kept going or whatever. And then I ended up seeing them again like about 5 years ago, and they were actually really like awesome. And it was like, where was that back in whatever it was, 98 or whatever. But Somersault, they called it Somersault.
Oh, okay.
This was the Our Lady Peace tour.
Well, bands go through phases, It's true. They do. Sometimes, you have a certain player that's great.
I'm a big Pumpkins guy. I will say Siamese Dream, for example, that album, I still can put it on and play through it and just love it. Like, I just think it's amazing. But and I hear that's like an album where I hear like the guys in the band with Jimmy Iha and Gretzky. It's like all their parts. I think Billy Corgan redid their parts in the studio. So like when this album comes out, it's all Corgan.
Oh.
But the members of the band don't know that he redid their parts.
Oh yeah, classic.
So there you go. That's the ego we're dealing with here. But okay.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. It's funny. Like you get worried. Like, oh, if I do, I mean, it sounds better, but I don't want to tell them that. There's all these band things because it's a very family dynamic, and sometimes some bands are really good at being able to set actually say what they want to say, but other people have to do it sort of surreptitiously and then pay the fallout later. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Exactly, like an early Foo Fighters or whatever. If Dave Grohl redoes the drum parts or whatever, it's like, okay, I get it, but okay. Mike from K-Dub has a question for you, Richard.
Okay.
He goes, I have hazy memories, and you kind of described this happening at a different show, so I think we're going to find out more info. But I have hazy memories of being at an epic New Year's Eve show when the Shuffle Demons crowd followed the band out onto the street in some sort of bizarre jazz conga line.
Absolutely.
He says maybe it was the Elmo. What do you want to share with Mike
I
from KW
bet
about
that was Lee's Palace. I bet it was Lee's Palace because we did New Year's '87 at Lee's Palace. It was sort of on the Lee's Palace Wall of Fame kind of thing, and I had a really funny negotiation with Mr. Lee asking for a certain amount of money, and he kind of, he was $100 less or whatever, but he was like, and $100 for your pocket, and I was like, oh, so you mean that much? He goes, no, that much plus 100 for you. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to tell the band it's the total amount. But yeah, we can pretend that it's 100 for me and you're kind of bribing me, but I'm just going to tell the band what the money is.
Right, that's Mr. Lee. I got COVID at Lee's Palace last December.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I know. But I was at a Lowest of the Low show and it happened, but that's okay. Any quick, real static stories? I just was doing this thing with Bedini, and I was just thinking of real statics, and I'm sure you guys must have crossed paths a lot.
Well, the funniest part is the time that I did a tour with the Rio Statics in China. What? Yeah, we Dave, I think, wrote. I haven't read his book. He wrote a book about this, but we did these funny guys from China came over here, and they went to the East Coast Music Awards and found a bunch of bands, and then somehow they found us, and somehow they found Dave, and we ended up doing this tour of theaters and weird sort of venues in China in 2006, which was really cool, really eye-opening, really interesting, really fun, and really strange. And so we played this really big theater in Shanghai to open the whole thing off, and that was really great. And then we kind of did these really small cities, like there was this town that they were from called Shijiazhuang, and it was like a really big industrial town, and so the air was like New York air the other day, when the forest fires were there. Right. So yeah, it was just a really cool, eye-opening look at China at that time, which is it's a few years ago, and so things weren't quite as developed as they are now, and it was really cool. So that's when we hung out with Dave. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to play a cover you did just to find the story behind it, because it's kind of a fun cover that we all know. But just this. Hockey Night in Canada theme song, which I think was actually called the Hockey Song, maybe? I don't know what Dolores Clayman called it. Yes, and good on you for knowing Dolores. Yes. Who passed away kind of recently, a few years ago. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We met her. I think one of our agent kind of managed to set that up, so it was really fun to meet her. Was she nice? She also did the Ontario song, right? Yeah, she was great. She was a great writer, obviously. She did so many great songs. But yeah, people didn't know that, and there was a kind of a controversy, with CBC there. Because, big time. Yeah, because she'd never been really getting the proper due, and because it was written, I guess, as an Esso jingle, right, originally? If you say so, that sounds like it might be right, but I'm not sure. Yeah. It is one of the great, I'm a big hockey fan, and it does really suck that Bell Media owns the rights to this song, and Bell Media doesn't air a lot of NHL hockey because of the deal that Rogers has. Hold on, let me hear this person. Back to Boston, because Hitler in the slot, he scores! Hitler! So how did you come to cover this song? Well, I think one of the various people who played in the band, because we often were looking for bass players, was Victor Bateman, and I really think that he might have suggested we do it. And, once he suggested that, it was like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. And so, yeah, we do it, and, we would often... at the start of the second set joke, if you'd all please rise for Canada's national anthem, and then play this, and people would get it and laugh, and yeah, people love it. It made a very strong imprint on people of our generation and older, and younger even, and so people love the song, and it's fun to do sort of a raucous version of it,
All right, I'm going to let this song take us. So we're going to, like I said, shout out to Spirit of the West. We're going to get a little political here.
Just as a segue.
Yeah, go ahead.
And let's join a few people together. We came back for our 20th anniversary in 2004. So the band kind of went till 1997, and people got really tired of touring, and it had actually changed it to me and sort of an electric band with lots of effects and everything. And then in 2004, we were like, let's go back for the 20th anniversary tour. And to do that, we did a Guinness World Record breaking event playing Hockey Night in Canada at Dundas Square with 900 sax players, which was just amazing. Yeah, it was like one of those, hey, let's do a promotional stunt that turned into a really nice community event. You know, it was great. There were mothers and sons and fathers and daughters playing together. And James B., of course, from Jazz FM was helping to organize and spread the word.
The famous one, absolutely.
And to segue into political, Olivia Chow was there to help as well and to be like an official signatory on the record. So
okay, great segue. You said Olivia Chow. Let's listen to this.
Oh man, you've done your research.
I'm Richard Underhill, and this is my good friend Kevin Barrett. And we have a little impromptu song here on a beautiful Saturday on the streets of Toronto.
This is on YouTube still.
Now,
Olivia
we've
Chow's
always
YouTube
been
account.
long-time fans of the Orange Wave, but we know that a lot of other people are just kind of waking up to it. So we're going to do a little song for you right now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Prime Minister Layton.
Love it.
We know that you'll be the best. Prime Minister Layton. Better than all the rest. Prime Minister Layton. Won't you show us the way? Prime Minister Layton, we'll vote for you on the 2nd of May.
That's fun.
So many places I want to go with this, but one note I'll read to you from Andrew Ward. He writes, we were all completely blown away by Richard's playing at the funeral for Jack Layton. Can you ask him a little bit about his relationship with Jack and how playing at the memorial came to be, including the selection and the arrangement?
Yeah, okay. So, well, I used to play at a place on King Street, you know, King and John. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was like 307 King or something, a restaurant. We used to play outside. Jack and Olivia would come by on their tandem, because we were playing on the patio, hang out, watch a few tunes. But that was, that was maybe in the 90s. But, I guess I've always, gravitated towards progressive politics. And I think, I paid attention before and maybe been to fundraisers because we knew each other. So we were in the neighborhood. So I'm not exactly sure how the relationship developed, but we knew each other. Then when Jack was running for the leadership, he called together a whole bunch of artists to help craft sort of a strategy to help win the leadership. So I wrote a song with Lorraine Segato.
Also an FOTM.
Yes, Lorraine. And that was really fun to be able to write with her because I never really would have had that opportunity before. So we wrote a song for his campaign, and then my friend Jono helped to put it together. They made a video of it, sort of of his. It was called Together, and they made a video presentation before he came on for the leadership. So I mean, he won quite handily, but it was really cool that they consulted artists as part of their campaign strategy, which you really don't often see in terms of the bigger party type campaigns. So yeah, I'd always been a fan, always been sort of part of the process and love the grassroots nature of Jack and Olivia. And then, when the funeral was coming up, Olivia got in touch with me and said, I'd love you to play. And I was honored and scared. And she chose the music, actually. She said there was one called the Magnificat, which was Mo Kaufman's version of a Bach tune. And the other one was Into the Mystic. And yeah, so I worked up an arrangement and put together a top band. And then I got us there at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. with no food, just like water and coffee or something. And we waited for, 5 hours and then went on. And fortunately, played it well. And,
I watched the video last night.
Oh,
Into
really?
the Mystic. Yeah, it's on YouTube too.
Oh, of us playing it?
Yeah.
Is that the one from Billy? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Because my poor mom, she didn't get a chance to see it because her phone was ringing like nonstop as it was going on. But yeah, that was, it was a touching moment, and I was glad to be able to do it, because he was a great friend and he was a great person, and to be able to contribute somehow to his memorial was an honor for sure. And it's nice to see Olivia is, on track, hopefully, fingers crossed, to be a progressive mayor.
Well, that's the natural next question. Of course, here we're speaking on June 19th, 2023, and on June 26th, 2023, although I've already voted because of advance voting, but Toronto goes to the polls.
Yeah.
And Olivia Chow is the front runner, if you believe the polls. And depending which poll you look at, she seems to be significantly ahead of the other 102 candidates.
I know, 102. I know, it's crazy.
So what's that like? I mean, you just chatted with us about your relationship with Olivia Chow and Jack Layton, and we lost Jack far too soon, sadly. And you talked about performing on his memorial. But here, Olivia, who ran for mayor in, I think it was 2014, finished third.
Yep.
That was the year John Tory beat Doug Ford. And this time, it feels very different. This time, it feels like she's more herself this time, and less like, listening to, high-priced, And by the way, high-priced PR people, I'm not saying don't listen to high-priced PR. Maybe the high-priced is the problem, but a proud sponsor of this program is the Moment Lab, and I just want to shout them out because they do brand marketing and strategy and PR and advertising and production. And by all accounts, everyone I've talked to who's worked at the Moment Lab has had a great experience. And if you are interested in chatting with the Moment Lab, I would love to introduce you to Matt and Jared of the Moment Lab. And shout out to the Moment Lab. And real quick here, because I do want to talk about this election and your personal politics here before we say goodbye. Recyclemyelectronics.ca is where you go. If you have some old electronics, some old technology, maybe an old phone, an old printer, an old 8-track, who knows what you've got in that basement. Don't throw it in the garbage. Those chemicals end up in the landfill. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and find out a location very close to you where you can safely drop off these items. recyclemyelectronics.ca. Know it, use it, love it. Thank you to EPRA. Okay, so Andrew Ward actually was, I believe the next question was, he reminded me you ran for mayor, which we should touch on
in
here.
2014.
In 2014?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Olivia beat you in that election.
Well, you see, people will say, I voted for you. And I'm going, well, you didn't, because I actually withdrew before the vote because I didn't want to siphon off like 0.5% of Olivia's potential total or whatever. So I was.
But were you on the ballot?
No. So because when Wynn put in ranked ballots, I thought, now that's great. Now I can run and not feel bad about it, because I want a progressive to win.
Because ranked ballots, exactly. That's why we love ranked balloting.
Yeah, exactly. Because I want a progressive to win.
Right.
And it wouldn't necessarily work for me, but if it really, ranked ballots really helps the local hero, the person who's coming up, who's got great ideas, who isn't maybe backed by a party machine,
right?
But is great.
Like a Chloe Brown or somebody like that.
You can vote for them first. Right. And then, sorry, Cody, I'm not sure.
Oh, no, just mentioning one of the candidates who might fall in that category, Chloe Brown.
Okay. Oh, Chloe. Sorry, I thought you said Cody. Yes,
Chloe.
No,
sorry.
Yes, Chloe's amazing.
My accent, my East Coast accent.
Yeah, sorry, man. Yeah, Chloe's great, exactly. So you could vote for Chloe first, and then you could have Olivia as your number 2 because she's more likely to garner more support, but at least you can show, and in the odd case, like some of those local heroes, those champions, those unlikely candidates can win, and that's kind of that's fun. That's what you want. Is that
sounds
change.
Far more democratic than a first past the post system, where literally when you're in the privacy of that booth, even let's say hypothetically speaking, and I had this conversation with Matt Elliott very very recently. We did a whole primer for this, but if you're in the voting booth, let's say you want Josh Matlow to be your mayor. Let's say I'm just talking hypothetically. And you're thinking, oh, I really don't want Mark Saunders to be the mayor.
Right.
And you're sitting there and you're thinking, if I vote for Josh Matlow, that's one less vote for Olivia Chow,
Exactly.
right? And that allows John Saunders is a great sports broadcast at
Really?
City TV here, yeah.
Okay.
But Mark Saunders, who sent me I did not ask to be on this list, but I got a text from Mark Saunders' campaign today.
Okay.
And I'll read the text to you. This came in today. I'm a little
All right.
over the place, but this just came in today. I get a text from a number I don't recognize. In fact, the phone just rang. It might be the same number. What do I know? But this text reads, and I tell this to you here, Richard. It reads, hold on, Mike, find your text. Here it is. I'm Mark Saunders, running for mayor. If Olivia Chow wins, she'll defund the police and hike taxes. Only I can stop her. Reply yes to support me. Wow. Stop to stop. Okay, these are the options, I guess, to reply. So this is an unsolicited spam text that I got here from the Mark Saunders campaign. But when I'm in the privacy of that booth, I might want Josh Matlow, but even more than that, I don't want Mark Saunders. I might cast a vote for Olivia Chow just to ensure. And this actually cost, in 2014, I think this cost her, because I think there was a real fear of Doug Ford being mayor. And when you're in that room and you're like, John Tory's not my guy, but I will take a John Tory over a Doug Ford. And I'm sorry, Olivia, but my vote's going, So this is why first past the post sucks.
Well, I think some of the people who voted for Pantalone in the previous election when Rob Ford got elected may have felt that way or whatever. Yeah. No, first pass is terrible. I mean, I think, we definitely have three, maybe more really great candidates in this election, Olivia being one of them, of course, and the one who is trending at the top. And so really makes sense if you want to see a progressive person to vote for Olivia, right? But of course, Matlow's great. Chloe Brown's great. There's other choices that people you wouldn't feel bad voting for those people, right? You would
right,
feel
but now
like
when you vote for those people, you feel like you're helping Mark Saunders.
Or whoever, yeah.
And he'll rip up our bike lanes, which he's very excited to do.
God, it seems so wasteful. I mean, that's the thing. Conservatives always kind of talk about fiscal responsibility and then do sort of really crazy fiscal things. So
try to appeal to that base. Oh my goodness, they love to rip up the bike lanes.
It's so silly. Anyway, let's. I'm really hopeful that Olivia can pull it off, and then that would be great. And the good thing about that, and someone who told me who was also liked Matlow, was saying, well, he'll still be on council.
That is true. Him and Brad Bradford can't. I said Brad came over here the other week, and I said,
yeah, you had him on?
Yeah, he came on. Well, I don't actually. So my rule with active politicians like Olivia Chow, I don't actually pursue any or invite any on.
Oh.
But if an active politician, I have a note in my inbox from Ann Bailau's campaign. But if an active politician wants to come on, and I deem them of a certain Blake Acton wanted to come on, and I took a pass. You have to be a certain stature, if you will.
Sure.
But obviously the big eight or whatever would be of a certain stature. So Brad Bradford's people wanted him on, and he wanted to come on, and he came on, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Right.
It was great to talk to Brad Bradford, and maybe I'll talk to Anna Bailao. But yeah, Brad Bradford did come on. Why did I bring him up? Do you remember? What was I going to say about Brad Bradford? Something about Brad. I'm trying to remember now real quickly what I was going to say about Brad, who is a cyclist, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
He's a cyclist. And you know what? It's funny because I brought up Brad to make a point about Brad Bradford, but hopefully it comes back to me before we say goodbye in about 5 minutes here. But it was a great convo. It was legit a great convo. And whether I voted for him or not is irrelevant. I enjoyed my hour chat alone in this room, drinking Great Lakes beer with Brad Bradford, and he made a lot of sense, and I hope people listen to that. But at any moment in the next 5 minutes, I'll remember why I brought him up. But what were you going to say?
What was I going to say about what? I don't
to
remember.
Bail me out here. Okay, so you ran. You obviously wanted to run for mayor in 2014.
Yeah.
And then you pulled yourself from the ticket so that the votes wouldn't be siphoned from Olivia Chow.
And it was, it wasn't necessarily the right time for me to run, other than the fact that Rob Ford had run, and the interesting thing was he kind of, no offense to the Rob Ford fans, but he kind of lowered the bar, right? It was like he was getting in at 11 o'clock, and, he kind of liked to party, and I kind of like to party, but, not in the same way, obviously. But I live jazz musician hours, and I was like, you know what? The city isn't actually falling apart. And this guy's kind of rolling in at 11 and doing a few things, and then, So actually, I could do because when we see other mayors getting up early and doing,
John
doing
Tory, for
things-
example, whether you agreed with his politics or not, or whether thought he did a good job or not, you will admit the man seemed to work very hard. Like he
worked
seemed to be
hard at
working
the
a lot.
bad things. You see, that's where Rob was better because he didn't work so hard at the bad things. He just
You could work around him.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, and he did. And the outlandish things he came up with actually people didn't want to do. So it was actually, ostensibly
Right.
better. Maybe not, but the Scarborough suburb.
I know. I see your point there.
Yeah.
I see your point here. Did you see this in your crystal ball? Did you see John Tory sex scandal coming
I
in
didn't see
2023?
that. I actually didn't see that. Yeah, no. I guess we still live in a very strange timeline. It's not predictable.
Did you consider being like the 103rd candidate? Like, did that cross your mind?
Yeah, no, because for the same reason that I got out originally, actually would have been better to run when John Tory was running because he's pretty much undefeatable as an incumbent, right?
Oh yes, he was. You're right. That was like the last year's election was like, and I voted because it's my duty to vote.
Sure.
But what was the point? Like it was so obvious he was going to win.
Yeah,
big.
and none of the big ticket players got in. Like they're all scared of it, right? It's an incumbent.
Right.
He's going. So none of the big tickets. So Matlow doesn't get in then. Chow doesn't get in then. So you're left with Gil, and Gil's cool, or Chloe, who I actually didn't find out about until after the election. I didn't realize she was there, and she was cool.
Yeah.
So you could have voted for something, but that's the one I maybe should have if I wanted to run for, because it doesn't matter. Then you're not really sandbagging a progressive because we don't have bank ballots.
Right. I did just now remember why I brought up Brad Bradford.
Okay.
That's always good, right? Because it's like, what's the name of that band with slugs in Vancouver? Oh, yeah, Doug and the Slugs. Okay, a couple of brain farts this episode. I apologize. I might be brain damaged. But okay. Brad Bradford, I said to him when he sat down with me for that hour, I said, you're playing with house money. Because Brad Bradford is when in the history of the city can you run for mayor?
That's right.
And then the day you lose,
You still got a gig.
you go back to City Hall as city councilor.
Yeah.
Unprecedented, never happens. And here it is happening now. And there's two, I call them the Big Eight, Big Six, whatever, but two members of the Big Six, Big Eight will have that luxury and are essentially playing with house money.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Or Mitzi Hunter, on the other hand, gave up a
You know
seat.
what? Don't you feel like in the back of your mind, maybe she's got another gig lined up? Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not sure she walked away from being an MPP to be mayor because but who knows? What do I know?
No, I know. It's confusing and also the people are connected to networks and have teams, and when you're
On that note, though, Brad Bradford did call out Olivia for this. What did he call it again? The NDP machine behind her. And are you a member of the NDP machine there, Richard Underhill?
Well, I guess I don't know if
You and Andrew Cash. Who else is in that? The Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah. I don't know if I've renewed my membership card actually, but I know plenty of people in the NDP machine.
Sure.
And yeah, it's great. I'm happy that there's a progressive machine. That's the thing. It's like people who. There's this sort of weird stigma in some circles about the NDP. If you actually hang out, like, they're really nice, inclusive.
Do you think that comes from the Bob Ray days? Because I personally find it interesting that when they talk provincially, they talk about two options. And we're old enough to remember. I remember Bob Ray as premier, but it's interesting how there's some consensus in this province where. Okay, that won't happen again. So it's going to be Liberal or PC, and we'll just take,
crazy. Because Bob Ray was actually great. I know people didn't like Ray days, but wasn't it better than getting laid off? Like, I don't know. There's some real.
What did the Real Static sing? It's a bad time to be poor. That was the Mike Harris song, I think.
Man, well, isn't it always? But yeah. So Bob was smart and interesting, and he did a lot of great stuff. So I really like Bob.
Very smart guy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's for me. That's what you want. I want a smart, compassionate person.
You don't want a populist who doesn't like the academics.
Exactly. No, I want someone who's smart. I want them, but smart and have to be also compassionate because smart and evil. We saw Mr. Harper maybe because we don't really like that, right? But if they're smart and compassionate,
I worked for a guy who loved Stephen Harper.
So did I.
And big Stephen Harper booster.
A lot of people like him. Well, whatever.
Well, he won a couple of majorities, so clearly.
Yeah.
But Doug Ford's won a couple of majorities too, so clearly somebody wants them to be their provincial leader.
A certain percentage of people. That's the thing. Once again, we're first past the posting and
like 35%.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Richard, before you say goodbye, I don't want you to be biking home and think, oh, damn, I really wanted to say this or I wanted to share this story. So this is your opportunity before I play a song from Shakespeare. And you don't have to come up with anything, but I'm giving you the opportunity so that you don't have that moment when you're biking home and say, hot damn, I wanted to tell him about blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, darn. Because what
are you up to now? Maybe share with us.
Sure,
what are you up to
idea.
now?
That's
What
a
are the
good
Shuffle
point.
Demons up to now? What's
Yeah.
Richard Underhill up to now?
Shuffle Demons still going strong. People often go, you wonder that we're still going strong. We are. Demon Stitch Winston has been. I was the driving force in the early days, booking, getting media attention, all that stuff. There's a great Duke Ellington book called "Music Is My Mistress," and the guys used to say about me, "Media is my mistress," because I'd be so excited by a review or a mention. But it's only because I love the band so much, and I just wanted us to, to get out there in the world and make an impact. So Stitch has taken over that role, and he's been amazing. We've toured the world before COVID. We've been all around the world. We've been to India 3 times, China 3 times, Japan, New Zealand, Australia 3 times, South Korea, everywhere. So he's been amazing in that end, and he just had us playing at Kerner Hall, which was fantastic. And
Great acoustics there.
Great acoustics. We played with a guy called Scratch Bastet.
Yeah, I know Scratch Bastet, yeah.
Scratch.
Sure.
He's great. He really fit in well with the band, and maybe we'll convince him to do something again, because that was great. So we're working on a new album, because Stitch also gets money to make albums. He's amazing. He gets grants all the time. So we're probably
knowing how to play the
September.
grant game. That's everything in this country.
Yes, and this reminds me. This feels very close because I do a little grant workshop for Humber College music business students in the summer.
Is that South Campus or North?
Yeah, South. Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah,
just
you
around
can
here.
throw a
but-
rock and hit it from here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been interesting, and it's definitely can be a game that's a little hard to learn, but once that really distills down to give them a great demo and give them a reason to give you the money, because it doesn't. You don't have to write a novel, but you have to have an interesting thing that you're talking about.
But you ever worry about the devaluing, the undervaluing of arts in this, the current landscape, and that?
Oh gosh, Yeah, I mean, we never made millions off our records, but we made something, and now.
Okay. So Shuffle Demons might not have made millions off their records, but we talked about another busking band that did, right? Because Bare Naked Ladies did,
right?
But they had a Billboard Hot 100 #1 hit, and then they recorded a song for the most popular sitcom of all time.
Sure. Yeah, no, well, and it's still possible to do things like that in this new climate. You just have to know how to do it, and I feel like I really missed the Spotify game early on, and that getting that because I always thought it was a bit jive, so but getting that traction early now, and it turns out it's still what it is and full of a lot of problems, but some people make a lot of money on it. Katie George, who was also on our bill at Kerner Hall, does okay because she figured it out.
Because I rarely get that story, unless you're The Weeknd.
No, some of the jazz people have figured it out. There are some people who have figured it out and who do it, but it takes a lot of work, right? It's like you got to be posting on Spotify every day. You got Instagram. I mean, every day you got to. It's not easy, but you can do it. On the flip side, it's nice that anyone anywhere in the world can hear your music. Because in the old days that was a little more difficult.
Right.
So that's kind of fun.
Okay, so what's the next piece of new music we can consume from Richard Underhill?
Well, I've got one. It's basically in the form of Shuffle Demons. If you want an actual piece of music you can buy, so probably in September we have some gigs in mid-September at the Jazz Bistro, and so the Shuffle Demons will be playing there and hopefully debuting a new album. One of the songs that I'm working on, just about laying down the vocals, it's called Are You Really Real? And it's about the effect of AI on our lives.
A sexy hot topic.
Yeah, and I used AI to write part of it too. I'm sorry.
I must disclose, AI hosted this podcast. That's why I couldn't come up with Doug and the Slugs. It's like
Slug in the business. If you see
is that the Swedish Chef? What was that?
Yeah, it sounded
Oh,
like
is that?
Have you seen that beer ad or Coke ad that AI came up with?
No, but I saw Blue Jays.
Oh, you
ad.
saw the Blue Jays one. Maybe
Yeah.
you posted that.
Not
oh
even
my
but
God,
I
that
did
was
see it,
terrifying.
and it was terrifying. So I don't know. I'll keep my eye on these new AI overlords, but I'm going to keep doing my thing without any intelligence at all. That's what I'm going to do, Richard.
Now you're at our level. Thank you.
Shuffle demons are a very important part of this city's musical fabric, and Spadina Bus is one of those jams where it takes me back to those days I was watching, who is it? PJ Fresh Phil. I had him on the show recently, and he broke into this imitation of Jojo Chinto, and then he did the Harold Hossein. He did Weather by Harold Hossein.
Oh, yeah.
And in the background, when he's doing this, you can hear this high-pitched squeal in the background. And I think it might be the biggest belly laugh in the history of Toronto Mike. It tickled my funny bone so completely to talk about, and I would never do a Jojo Chinto or a Harold Hossein impression. But for some reason, when PJ Freshfield did it, it was very funny. And so I miss those days, and Spadina Bus takes me right back. So thanks for this chat, Richard.
Thank you for having me on. I feel really honored to be on the podcast. And number 1276.
You got it.
Okay. I'm going to mark that down and tell all my friends.
I'll get you back here in 1276 episodes.
Okay. We'll see where we are from the moon.
And that brings us to the end of our 1276th show. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Toronto Mike. What are you? At Richard, what are you?
Just at Rich Underhill.
At Rich Underhill.
Yeah.
Our friends at Great Lakes Brewery are at Great Lakes Beer. I've got some beer for you to take home with you, Richard. Palma Pasta's at Palma Pasta. I've got lasagna for you. Moneris is at Moneris. You've got your wireless speaker. Recycle My Electronics are at EPRA_Canada. The Moment Lab are at The Moment Lab. And Ridley Funeral Home are at Ridley FH. You've got your flashlight. I'll see you all. I got to go quickly in real time to my calendar. I really should do this beforehand, but it's more exciting if I do it in real time. Who is next on Toronto Mic'd? Oh my goodness, that's right. We rescheduled this. Next on Toronto Mic'd is an original member of Soul to Soul who recorded Keep On Moving and other great jams like that. Simon Law is on the program.
I have for you an album,
Okay, let me see this.
our latest.
All In,
There
the
it is.
Shuffle Demons.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much.
I forgot to give it to you, but now
Well, you got it in under the wire here.
I got it in under the wire.
Shuffledemons@gmail.com if you want to book them for parties, bar mitzvahs, weddings. Send an email to shuffledemons@gmail.com. See you all in a couple of days with Simon Law on Toronto Mic'd.